This is the 2024 M3 15-inch MacBook Air. But do you need an M3 MacBook Air in 2024? Let's talk about it. Hi everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the 2024 M3 15-inch and 13-inch MacBook Air. I did an unboxing on this one already and the link is right up here. We'll talk about the specs and help you figure out if you need this MacBook Air or if another model might be better for you. But before we get started, be sure to like this video if you found it useful, click on subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss when I post new how-tos and reviews. This is the 2024 M3 15-inch MacBook Air. And right off the bat, if you're considering a MacBook Air for the thin form factor and weight, I would say go with the 13-inch. I got the 15-inch and my wife got a 13-inch. It's kind of funny to say this, but because the MacBook Air is so thin, it's almost weird to hold the 15-inch compared to the 13. But if you like having a bigger screen, the 15 is very nice. So let's talk about specs for just a little bit here. Both of these are M3 chips with 10-core GPUs inside. Both are running with 16 gigs of RAM, at least the ones I have, and 512 gig SSD drives. Both are liquid retina displays, with the 13 being 2560 by 1664 at 224 pixels per inch, and the 15 being 2880 by 1864 at 224 ppi. The 13 is a 52.6 watt-hour lithium polymer battery with advertised up to 15 hours of wireless web, and the 15 is a 66.5 watt-hour lithium polymer battery with 15 hours wireless web. Kind of strange that both of these have the same wireless web hours, but I don't even want to get into all that right now. And both models have two Thunderbolt USB 4 ports, MagSafe, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. Now, one of the big changes for the M3 is the ability to use two external monitors compared with the M2 only supporting one external monitor. And this is when the lid is closed. However, you should note that you can get an adapter that will let you run two external monitors with the lid closed on the M2 MacBook Air. When I had an M2 MacBook Air, I was using a USB 3.0 to HDMI adapter to get two external monitors up and running. I did have to install software on my Mac to do this. It worked really well, but there were times when I had to disconnect and reconnect the dock I was using, and that was on the initial connection. It wasn't like I was using the dual monitor setup and one monitor would just stop working. Nothing like that. So it's nice to see that the M3 can natively support two monitors now. I'll post a link to the adapter if you're looking to do this with your Mac. Oh, and the MacBook Air is fanless, which I love. I don't think the fan on the MacBook Pro kicks in as much these days unless you're doing something really intensive, but it's nice not hearing a fan on the Air. It's recently come out that when the lid is closed, the Air tends to run hot and slower since it needs the cooling that comes from the gap of space where the display meets the body. The MacBook Airs are available in Silver, Starlight, Space Gray, and Midnight. I am still a really big fan of Midnight, and the fingerprints are more minimal than with the M2 version with the coating they're now putting on it, but they're still there. I put on a clear skin I got from Etsy. I also put on a palm rest that matches the midnight color really well. I like putting a palm rest on just in case I'm wearing a watch or my wife wears a bracelet that might scratch up the palm rest. This lets us not worry about that. I have not noticed a big difference between the M2 and M3 Air, honestly. I tend to have a bunch of apps open all the time. I keep my open tabs in Chrome pretty limited, and I do my video editing for my channel on this Air with Premiere Pro. I run clean my Mac, and occasionally I'll get a pop-up that my memory is running low. I will say that I'm not sure if that's just something going on with the software or if it's an issue because my Mac never seems to really slow down or have a memory issue in general. When I was configuring my Air, the jump was 16 gig to 24 gig of RAM, and I really didn't think I needed 24 gig of RAM for this machine. Overall, the M3 MacBook Air is snappy, lightweight, and doesn't collect as many fingerprints. I wouldn't say it's worth an upgrade if you've got an M2 MacBook Air, but it's probably a great time to pick up an M2 if you're looking for a new Air or an upgrade from an M1 or older Mac. One sad thing that happened with the introduction of the M3 MacBook Air was the discontinuation of the iconic MacBook Air wedge shape on the M1. I remember when the Air was first introduced in 2008 during the keynote by Steve Jobs in the manila envelope. Truly one of those classic Apple moments in history, but I do love the design of the new MacBook Air. It's so thin and lightweight, it's a great travel laptop. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. What laptop are you running these days? Mac, PC, Linux? Drop a note below. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll talk soon.